Welcome back. Alright, it is now time for the final game of the tournament, the Fluffycon Warhammer tournament, and this is game 6. No more games after this, and it's the Tomb Kings against a Chaos army, and this is Chaos Mortals. It's not Beasts of Chaos, and it's not Demons, it's just the Chaos Mortals featuring Marauders and Chaos Warriors. But this is an all-Khorne worshipping army, and on the left you've got the Tomb Kings deployed. And I'll just explain what's going on here. The archers are kind of on an angle. Half of them, the edge of them is on the forest. We've got the melee skeletons behind them with the catapults, the cavalry in the middle, the carrion in front of them, more archers, and all of the chariots and scorpions on the left flank. Now on the right-hand side, we've got the Chaos Army, and I'll explain what he's got here. He's got Marauders on horses. He's got the Flesh Hounds. He's got 2 units of Chaos Knights, which look really nasty. 2 big units of Marauders. He's got two what do you call them? Spawns, Chaos Spawns. Whatever you call them. And he's got 2 units of little dog things. He's got a Shaggoth, really powerful rare unit, which I was very afraid of. And he's got a Chaos Chariot as well as 2 exalted. He's got a general, a couple of exalted champions of Khorne. And this army was making me very nervous. It looked very difficult to beat, and I was just very afraid of being in combat with this army, and I knew that the second half of this game was going to be very nasty for me. However, there were a couple of shining rays of hope, and that was the fact that he has no magicians at all, and he has no dispel dice and no dispel scrolls. So with that in mind, I felt like I probably had a better chance against this army than some other armies did. But we'll see. I knew it was going to be a very tough game. So let's go to the next photo. We can see a better deployment of his army. We've got the 2 spawn things over the right-hand side, adjacent to the forest. This is the one game that the first time in Warhammer ever that I've played a game where I haven't managed to put the Skelepult on a hill, so that limited my options a little bit. He's got a massive number of guys over here on the left. And yeah, we rolled for the first turn, and the Tomb Kings won the first turn, thank God. Otherwise, the Chaos would have reached my lines after 2 turns. So what I did immediately was this. I moved the carrion in front of all of my casts. I used urgency, and I just flew him exactly to this spot. The reason why they're in a line here is because they're not allowed to be within 1 inch of an enemy unit. And this march blocks all of the Marauders, all of the Chaos Knights, the chariot, and the dogs behind, and potentially the Shaggoths. That bought me 2 or so extra turns to shoot at him, and it was really fortunate I managed to get this march block straight away, because things could have been really ugly for me later on. So thank you, Scorpions. 76-point unit or whatever it is, and they came through for me. Next photo, the Chaos Army is slowly moving around to the left. As you can see, march blocked at the back. Just getting into position. You can see the 2, the Hierophant and the Lich Priest out in front. He's got 0 shooting units, no bound spells, nothing magic missiles. He can't shoot anything in the ranged or magic phase. So that's why you see a Lich Priest out in the middle there. The reason he was there is so he could get in range to incantation on the carrion. Immediately he'll be moving backwards after this. So let's move to the next turn to see what happens. More stuff happening here, so the Tomb Kings carefully maneuvering around into the flank, just waiting for the Chaos units to move in, and things getting very precarious here, because the archers are moved forward to shoot. Now they have to move backwards a little bit and take the charge, and the casters are moving back, but things are about to go off, and we're going to have a very, very, very violent game on our hands very shortly, in a turn or so. So over to the Chaos turn, and I've carefully tried to move everything out of range in my turn of charges, because he's frenzied with most of his units. So next turn, what you see here is that the middle unit of archers has reformed. This is a great photo because it shows everything. Both archer units have reformed. The unit in the forest at the bottom have reformed, and the unit in the middle have reformed, and they're going to be charged by a frenzied Chaos Chariot shortly. But they're the bait. We've got 2 Tomb Scorpions and 2 units of chariots behind them, and the big unit of cavalry ready to charge anybody that charges the side of of the skeleton warriors with bows and the melee skeletons, and just keep firing pot shots at his knights with my skelepult. The reason why the skeleton catapult is turned around in this particular photo is because he misfired. I in fact got 4 misfires this game. One of them forced him to waste an extra phase, but all the rest of them, fortunately, were 4-and-ups, meaning that they just missed their particular shot for that round. I didn't blow myself up. I did blow myself up earlier in the tournament, but yeah, very interesting rolling on the Skelepult this game. Let's go to the next photo. So what's happened here is that in the foreground, the Chaos Knights have charged the skeletons with bows. Their marauders on horseback were actually hit by a magic missile, where I had amazing luck with a magic missile. I rolled a 5, strength 4 hits. I wounded with all of those 5 hits. He failed all of his saves, and the entire unit of marauders on horseback were wiped out by one single undead magic missile, which was amazing. Of course, the Chaos Knights absolutely obliterated the Tomb King Archer unit as expected, and just followed up through the forest, and left me in a position where I could rear charge him with the skeletons if I wanted it, but that will only tie him up. He'll just butcher the skeleton unit as well, which will be nasty. And in the background, of course, you've got the chariot charging the unit of skeleton archers, and they pretty much wiped out the skeleton archers except for like 3 guys, so a unit of 18 archers turned into a unit of 3 archers very quickly after one charge from that single chariot. But I countercharged with the king. That's very important. And in the far background, the Shaggoth has been charged by 2 Tomb Scorpions. Very interesting combat. Didn't kill him first round, inflicted some wounds. The Scorpions took some wounds, but it wasn't an outright defeat, and we'll find out what happens about that later. So next photo, oh man, the Tomb King beats the chariot in combat, but the chariot, all of the chariot creatures, or the juggernaut or horses or whatever are pulling it, plus the guys on top of the chariot which were frenzied, just decided to bash the Tomb King chariot itself, and they wiped out the chariot. So my opponent kindly lent me a base for my Tomb King because I didn't have one, and I used a glob of blue tack to put on the base and just glued the Tomb King himself to the base. And so you've got a combat here with the 3 remaining archers and the Tomb King, but fortunately the chariot's gone. Alright, the next combat, oh ho ho. In the meantime, I don't have a photo of it, but I better point this out. The Shaggoth was destroyed by the 2 Tomb Scorpions thanks to amazing luck by myself, and they just pursued the Shaggoth across the battle. The skeletons charged the Chaos Knights here. I made an horrific mistake of rear charging them, and that forced me to line up all of my units in combat. I should have flank charged and only attacked as general, and that caused me to lose in my entire group of skeletons in 2 phases of combat, whereas I could have tar-pitted him for longer than that if I had just attacked the general. Really dumb mistake by me. Next photo, you can get an overview here. What's happened is that, this is a view from my perspective here, the Chaos Knights have charged the cavalry, the chariots have overrun, the Shaggoth's been destroyed. I've chased away 2 units of marauders. They've run away from the chariot. The spawns run over to the hill. The hierophants run behind the chariot units to run away from them. The king is on foot over here. The scorpion and all of the carrion have charged the spawn without being able to kill it. Next photo here, we've got all the marauders rallying, and the combat continues. This is just a better photo of what I just talked about. The next photo, however, the chariots charged the group of marauders, wiping them out because they have to flee through the carrion, and have tactically placed the carrion over here. The carrion and the scorpion beat this spawn in combat. The scorpions charged the unit of marauders over there, not being able to beat them in combat, and that's it for that phase. And finally over here, the Chaos Knights obliterate the Skelepult, the Screaming Skull Catapult, and in the background, this is the final moment of the game and the final decider. The king charges the spawn, kills it, and I moved the last unit of chariots out of arc range for the last unit of Chaos Knights. Finally used the Hierophant to urgency them out of the way so they wouldn't get charged in the final turn of the game. But I failed the roll, and he dispelled it, and he charged the chariots in the flank. The Exalted one has strength 7, so like the Croxigors, I just lost the whole unit, and that turned out to be the difference. So that was the closest game of the tournament, and probably the best game tactically. Very awesome stuff. And what ended up happening is that we added up the victory points, and it was pretty much a draw. And it felt like a draw too, but he managed to win by like 200 victory points or so, just because of that extra chariot unit, which I failed on. Just a single dice roll failed that. And he got an extra generalship point than me. Now, generalship is scored out of 20. If you decimate your opponent and wipe out his whole army without losing a single model, you'll get 20 and your opponent will get 0. So that's the scale of it. So 6 games over the tournament, multiplied by possible 20, so you get a score out of 120. Now in this game I came out with 9, my opponent came out with 11 because it was a draw and it was slightly tilted in his favour, but it was probably one of the best games, very violent game, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And that brings the tournament to a close. So I hope you guys enjoyed the Fluffycon tournament battle reports. That's it from me. Check out the photos on my Image Shack page. But yeah, just waiting for next weekend. Can't wait to crack out the Casket of Souls and get back into it. Thanks, guys.